Wow, CJ Yukon, first place finish. Rod, David, Aaron, Troy, Stoney, Eddie. Jean Doe. How can there be a Jean Doe in this world? Everybody has their data tracked. How can anybody be Jean Doe? I'm tired. I didn't sleep well last night, which is probably a reflection of how poorly I did on the live. And we went pretty late last night. I went down to the truck today, and I put up a video and some pictures, and I'll try to put up some more. But my battery was running in the red zone, and it's charging now. Ham's out doing something, but I'm sure he'll call in. And then, you all right? You all right? I missed you too. I missed you too. Such a good boy. He's having a real hard time walking. But he never complains. He's not like me. I always complain. He never complains. He has one paw he can't really work, and then his back leg wasn't working, but he still tries to enjoy everything. All right, we'll leave all that alone. Long explanation. All right, well, I look forward to it. Frank, I'll pet him for you. He doesn't always let me pet him because I think his teeth hurt, and then I think something else hurts. But he comes up with his nose, and he looks like he's looking right now. I don't want him to ever die. But it's part of life, isn't it? All right. Just because I think he's going to call in at any time, and I'd like to move forward with, I don't know if it's an education, but I'm sort of force feeding ideas down your heads. And it all boils down to the bull market's over. I mean, I think we're going to have a huge run up, but either that happens or doesn't happen. Afterwards, it's a different picture. And so in that mindset, the first to shift from having all their money invested at, I don't know, in the Merrill Lynch Trust Plus Equity Bust Fund or whatever the heck they're marketing, you're going to have to be in stocks you know about and you believe in. I think you're going to have to be in precious metals, although they'll be volatile. And I really like oil production, natural gas production. But things like this, you probably have your own ideas. An apple orchard that everybody buys juice from, a coffee plantation, a truck depot that everyone uses near the Baltimore Harbor. I mean, anything that's going to have income, regardless of the headlines in the newspaper, it's a good place to be. Good place to be. All right, I'm tired, so I'm going to read chapter 4 of Mike Maloney's book. Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver, How to Protect Your Financial Future. And remember, this book was written 14 years ago. No, that's not right. 16 years ago. 16 years ago. And somehow 16 years went by without this all coming to fruition. That doesn't mean it's not going to come to fruition. In fact, I would argue it just means the pressures have gotten larger. And when it happens, it's going to be the big enchilada instead of the taco. But anyway, so chapter 4, greed, war, and the dollar's demise. With the outbreak of World War I, as with all historical examples we've already covered, the combatants halted redemption in gold, increased taxes, borrowed heavily, and created additional currency. By the way, Richard Hoffman did a great live today. I saw part of it, but I was, busy at Union Station. I do recommend it. He did a great job. Okay, so, however, because the United States did not enter the war, World War I, for almost 3 years, the United States became the major supplier to the world during that time. Who's going to play that role next? I'm not sure it'll be the United States. It might well be China, Vietnam, India. It's not going to be the United States. We're not ready for it. Gold flowed into the United States at an astounding rate, increasing U.S. gold stocks by more than 60%, reserves. When the European allies could no longer pay in gold, the United States extended credit to the allies. Once the United States entered the war, however, the United States too spent at a rate far in excess of its income. The U.S. national debt went from $1 billion $1 million. The U.S. national debt went from $1 billion in 1916 to $25 billion by war's end. The world currency supply was exploding. After the war, the world longed for the robust trade and economic stability of the international gold standard, which had worked so well before the war. Thus, throughout the 1920s, most of the world governments returned to a form of the gold standard 100 years ago. But the standard employed wasn't the classical gold standard of the pre-war period. Instead, it was a faux gold standard called the gold exchange standard. Governments never seemed to learn that you cannot cheat gold. During the war, many countries inflated their currency supplies drastically. Yet when they tried to return to gold, they didn't want to devalue their currency against gold by making the number of units of currency, gold certificates, etc., match the number of units of gold that backed the currency. So here was their solution. After the war, the United States had most of the world's gold. That's just like World War II. Conversely, many European countries had large supplies of US dollars, and they didn't have any gold because the many war loans the United States had made to the Allies left the situation that way. Thus, it was decided that under the gold exchange standard, the dollar and the British pound, along with gold, would be used as currency reserve by the world's central banks, and that the US dollar and the pound would be redeemable in gold. Now, that's what China's hoping. They want enough gold, Russia too, Iran. So the next currency solution, China's the big boy at the table. In the meantime, the United States had created a central bank, the Federal Reserve, and given it power to create currency out of thin air. How can you create currency out of thin air and still back it by gold, you might ask? I guess you just lie. You impose a reserve requirement on the central bank, the Federal Reserve, limiting the amount of currency it creates to a certain multiple of the units of gold it has in its vaults. In the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, it specified that the Fed was to keep 40% reserve of lawful money, quote unquote lawful money, i.e. gold or currency which can be redeemed for gold, at the US Treasury. Fractional reserve banking is like an inverted pyramid. Under a 10% reserve, $1 at the bottom can be expanded by layer upon layer of book entries, just book entries, until it becomes $10 at the top. Adding a fractional reserve central bank, and I think in the security system, that's the DTCC. Underneath the fractional reserve commercial banks was akin to placing an inverted pyramid on top of an inverted pyramid. Before the Federal Reserve, commercial banks under a 10% reserve ratio could hold a $20 gold piece in reserve and create another $180 of loans for a total of $200. But with the Federal Reserve as the foundation under the banking pyramid and having a reserve requirement of 40%, the Fed could put $50 in circulation for each $20 gold coin it had in its vaults. Then the banks, as the second layer in the pyramid, could create loans of $450 for a total of $500. That's as opposed to $200 previously. With the new exchange standard, foreign central banks could use dollars instead of gold. This meant that if the Federal Reserve had a $20 gold piece in the vault and issued $50, then a foreign central bank could hold that $50 in reserve at a reserve ratio of 40% and issue the equivalent in $125 of their currency. Then when the 125 hit the banks could further expand that $125 to $1,250 worth of claim checks, all backed in the first instance by a single solitary $20 gold piece. And this is exactly what they're doing in the securities markets. That means that the real reserve ratio, the ratio of real money that could be paid out against their currency, was now only 1.6%. I suppose that's because in their model, you could only use something that converts into gold as a reserve currency. Now there was an inverted pyramid on top of an inverted pyramid on top of an inverted pyramid. This was highly unstable. Ultimately, the gold exchange standard was a faulty system which governments imposed on their citizens that allowed the governments to act as if their currency were as valuable as they were before the war. This was a system destined for failure. But every pyramid scheme flourishes in its early days. So did the gold exchange standard. With all of the new currency available from the central banks, the commercial banks generated many new loans. This abundance of currency led to the greatest consumer credit expansion thus far, at that point, in American history, which in turn led to the biggest economic boom America had ever experienced. In a very real sense, credit put the roar into the roaring 20s. Before 1913, the vast majority of loans had been commercial. Loans on non-farm real estate and consumer installment credit, like auto loans, were almost non-existent, and interest rates were very high. But with the advent of the Fed, credit for cars, homes, stocks was now cheap and easy. The effect of the low interest rates combined with these new types of loans was immediate. Bubbles sprang up everywhere. There was the Florida real estate bubble of 1925. And then, of course, the infamous stock market bubble of the late 1920s. During the 1920s, many Americans stopped saving and started investing, treating their brokerage account as a savings account, much like many Americans treated their homes in the most recent housing bubble. But a brokerage account is not a savings account, nor is a house. The value of a savings account depends on how many dollars you put in it. But the value of a brokerage account or a house depends solely on the perception of others. If someone thinks your assets have value, then they do. But if they don't think they have any value, then they don't. In a credit-based economy, whether the economy does well or does poorly is largely based on people's perception. It's all a confidence game. If people believe things are great, then people borrow and spend currency and the economy flourishes. But if people have the least bit of anxiety, if they have doubts about tomorrow, then you better watch out. In 1929, the stock market crashed, the credit bubble burst, and the United States economy slid into depression. The popping of a credit bubble is a deflationary event. And in the case of the Great Depression, it was massively deflationary. To understand how a deflation occurs, you need to know how our currency is born and how it can join the ranks of the dearly departed. When we take out a loan from a bank, the bank does not actually loan us any of the currency that was on deposit at the bank. Instead, the second the pen hits the paper on the mortgage, loan document, or credit card receipt, which we sign, the bank is allowed to create those dollars as book entry. Does that sound like our security system? As soon as they sell stock that you buy, the brokerage firm creates a book entry, like MMTOP. In other words, we create the currency. In other words, they create the stock. And then the bank gets to charge us interest for the currency we created. This brand new currency we just created then becomes part of the currency supply. Much of our currency supply is created in this way. But when a home goes into foreclosure, a loan gets defaulted on, or someone files bankruptcy, that currency simply disappears back into the currency heaven from where it first came. So as credit goes bad, the currency supply contracts and a deflation sets in. This is what happened in 1930 through 1933, and it was disastrous. As a wave of foreclosures and bankruptcy swept the nation, 1/3 of the currency supply of the United States evaporated into thin air. Over the next 3 years, wages and prices fell by 1/3. Bank runs are also enormously deflationary events because when you deposit $1 in the bank carries that dollar as a liability on its books. It someday owes that dollar back to you. However, under a fractional reserve system, the bank is then allowed to create currency in the form of credit, in the form of loans, in an amount many times that of the original deposit, which it carries on its books as assets. As we've discussed, under a 10% reserve, a $1 liability can create another $9 of assets for the bank. The loans that they create are assets. This is normally not a problem as long as the bank isn't loaned up to the maximum amount permitted. With just a small amount of excess reserves, the bank can cover the day-to-day fluctuations because most of the time deposits and withdrawals come very close to balancing out. But a serious problem can develop when too many people show up to make their withdrawals at the same time without the counterbalancing effect of the relatively same amount of people making deposits. If withdrawals exceed deposits, the bank will draw from those excess reserves. Once those excess reserves have been used up, however, fractional reserve banking is then thrown into vicious reverse. And that can happen with our short squeeze candidates. From that point on, to be able to pay out $1 against deposits, the bank must liquidate $9 worth of loans. This is what was happening in 1931, and it was one of the major contributing factors to the collapse of the US currency supply. Also, prior to the advent of the Federal Reserve, the public had about $1 in the bank for every $1 in its pockets, and the banks kept $1 of reserves on hand to pay out against each $3 of deposits. But thanks to the Federal Reserve, by 1929, the public had 11 million in deposits for each dollar in the Fed's pocket. Wow. So they had $11 in bank deposits for each dollar in its pocket, and the banks had $1 on hand to pay out against every $13. This was a very dangerous situation. The public had lots of deposits and very little cash, and the banks also had very little cash to back up those deposits. By November 1930, bank failures were more than double the highest monthly level ever recorded. Over 250 banks with more than 180 million in deposits would fail during that month. But this was only the beginning. The largest single bank failure in the United States history happened on December 11, 1930. The 62 branch Bank of the United States collapsed. This failure would have a cascading effect, causing over 352 banks with more than 370 million in deposits to fail in that month alone. Worst of all, this was before deposit insurance. People's entire life savings were lost in a blink of an eye. Then, to top it off, on September 21, 1931, Great Britain defaulted from the gold exchange standard, throwing the world into monetary chaos. Foreign governments, along with businesses and private investors from the United States and around the world, began to fear that the United States might follow suit. Suddenly, there was a dash for cash. Within the United States, banks were running out of gold coin, and at the same time, tremendous outflows of gold began to leave the vaults of the Fed, destined for far off lands. The pyramid scheme that was the gold exchange standard began to crumble. To stop the bleeding, the Fed more than doubled the cost of currency in the United States, raising rates from 1.5% to 3.5% in 1 week. As a result, between August 31 and January 32, 1,860 banks with 1.4 million in deposits suspended operations. However, 1932 was an election year. 3 long years into the Depression, people were desperate for change. And in November, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected president. Even though his inauguration wouldn't be until March, rumors started flying that he would devalue the dollar. Again, gold flowed out of the vaults as foreign governments, foreign investors, and the American public lost even more faith in the United States dollar. And the most devastating bank run in American history began. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there because I'm hot. I'm at the end of my tether. It's 2:42. Let's see if you have any questions. Hey, Kenneth. Thank you, Kenneth. All markets are fraud. I agree with that, Travis. Stony Bones. Finger has and always was a long-term play. The quote-unquote squeeze, a naked short position, is a cherry on top. They got out of the toxic debt with Lynn Partners, only up from here now. I think that's right. I think that's right. Donna, Jim Bob, haven't you kept up with Finger? You know, Donna, the fact that Jim Bob is here is probably means that he's got a short position that he can't cover at a profit and he's nervous, I would guess. Or he's paid to be here to help the other shorts. Yeah, but they said last year was supposed to squeeze imminent when Univest involved. So I asked this, what happened to Univest and why are they not stepping up? Are they concerned about Finger? I don't know, Jim Bob. You can go to the website for Univest. They have the phone number. You can call in and ask them directly. My guess is, it's just a guess, the company announced, as you know, because you've been here the last several days, the company announced they weren't going to raise equity down here. They started at around $5. It's gone lower. And maybe Univest wanted to raise money in an at-the-market offering, and the company said no. That's a guess I have. What do I think of Tim Walz? Well, I don't know much about him, but it's odd that the single demographic that Democrats go after is straight white men, older straight white men, and he's one of them. I don't think that she's going to pick up any African American votes with him on, I think, particularly in the South. I don't think they're going to like Tim Walz. What I think she was doing is she was looking, she just has to win by convincing the blue people that it made sense that she won. And I think Walz, she thinks, gives her Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If she gets those three and Georgia, I think she's in. So I think her calculus is different than mine. I personally think it was a terrible pick. Regardless of what you think of him, I think she made a bad pick for herself. That's interesting. They all come at the same time. Could be they want to clean it up before Gensler retires. So apparently XRP is going to benefit from the Ripple judgment. So you're going to be negative on it? It's an interesting strategy. Anyway, you can always sell, you can always buy more, and you can always hold. But when you make that decision to buy, sell, or hold, be a man, Jim Bob. Be a man. I know the world doesn't have many men anymore, but why don't you be one? Oh, Nick. Nick needs a big hug. I don't have to answer that one. I'm not going to. Hey, Brian. Hey, Dick. Hey, Tom. Hey, Frank. Hey, Pilot. Hey, U.S. courts. Wow, that's amazing, Stone. That's amazing. Hey, Sideshow Bob. Well, who do you think selling finger, bud? Uh, uh. I'm too tired to explain it, but the U.S. security system under Reg Show, the market maker exemption, the criminals can sell stock they don't borrow, they don't locate, they don't deliver. Your broker dealer doesn't have to make force receipt. So, but people sell into existence shares of finger motion which do not exist. And they do it on a scale that's unbelievable. The other thing they're probably doing down here is just moving positions out of the accounts where they want to get money and into accounts they'll walk away from. There's only 181,000 shares. So it's probably more of the latter than so much of the first. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's counterfeit share. All right, guys, it's 2:49. I put up a video which I think should come up. Let me see if it's already up. No, it'll be up in 20 minutes. It's been uploading. It's been uploading since this morning. but I put up a video that you can watch. I went to the SEC. I was up late and stayed on late last night, and I'm just dead tired. I can feel it in my brain. All right, let's see if Ham wants to talk to you. Hello? Hello? If you want to go live, I was just going to sign off, but if you want to,
Yeah, let's go.
if you want to take the baton, you can keep everybody
Go.
entertained. Hang on, I got to get the speaker going.
Battery 20%.
Battery 20%. That's not big. That should be all right.
Goes off when it goes off.
All right. Well, no, 20% is more than enough right now. All right, you're live. You can go. I'm gonna zone out.
I'll start off with the finger motion right out of the gate. I've been documenting time and sales. Those are the times of the trades and the sales. And if you look, you can go to freerealtime.com. Freerealtime.com. Just put the symbol in, and you can hit time and sales, and it'll show you. All right, it's a little delayed, but you can see 1, 2, 5, 10 all day long. And they're at the same time. It's not like one's done at 12 o'clock and the next one's done at 12:42. It's 12:01 in 1 second, 12:01 in 1 second, 2 seconds. It's just rapid fire. 180,000 shares traded, and I can't see any trades. I've seen one trade for 1,800, 1,200, and then it's just all 100 lots and whatever, all these weird numbers. So they're moving things around rapidly all day long. This is not a computer. This is an idiot. This is an idiot guy that's working for these guys. I don't know where they are, but that is not a computer doing this stuff. This is someone doing it all day long. They hit the buttons and they just keep pressing it. I told you before, these are called odd, ODD, lot trading, odd lots. And they go undetected. The SEC is looking for people putting up big prints. That's how they find the criminals using big stuff, 10,000, 50,000. Who's selling all that stuff? When they do these small trades, they think they go undetected. That's why they're doing it. But 180,000 shares of trading, and there are no trades. It's just continuous nonsense back and forth. All right, so we can't stop it. You can see it. I can't post it anymore. I'm sick of posting it. It's so stupid. So the truck was at the everything went according to plan. The truck is out there. We had some new slides. It's tough to write new slides all the time because it's the same stupid crime. We tried to tell people. There's not much more we could say. We called the guy every name under the sun. He's the criminal. We point him out, and the SEC doesn't do anything about it. People saying they're getting sick of it. Really? You think you're sick of it? I've been doing this for 24 years. We have 66 days. I'm going to change the number a little while to 65. Tomorrow's 65. We'll start next week on Monday down to 64. The days are disappearing. Trump wins. Pat Byrne gets in. It's lights out for these guys. They have to buy back the shares. Pat Byrne is not going to go easy on them. Pat Byrne is a believer in blockchain. Blockchain will wipe out everybody. This whole fraud is going away. Pat Byrne will get in. Donald Trump, Devin Nunes, they're not playing games. They're not going through this whole thing to have this big company set up. He's got, 30 or 40 million shares of the company. They know the GameStop money's here. They're not stupid. Devin Nunes is running point on it. Why aren't they making more noise? I don't know. Maybe they are making noise and we don't see it. Just like Andrew left, he was living in fear until the fear became he got arrested, right? This is how it works. They just hit a sell button. Listen, people, everyone's saying the same thing. Why doesn't the company do more? And I addressed somebody today and said, well, the company should just come out and put a fake press release out so that we can all be happy. Would that be happy for you if they go to jail? I don't think they're going to do that. Company can only do so much. The stock settlement system is broken. William, I told you 1,000 times, these guys just hit a sell button. Sell, 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 sell. That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything different. All right, they got a few badges. Again, we offered the badges to come down to DC. William, you see anybody coming over? Any badges coming over?
No.
Once again, they have their opportunity. No one shows up. All right? These guys are all full of shit. They get paid to say this stuff. Hey, listen, everybody on this phone make believe we're the shorts. We're all sitting here talking. What are we going to do today? Hey, let's get William to go out there and just bash it all day long. I'll go to StockTwits. You go here, and we'll just post all this stuff and bash it all day long. Well, that's not working. Well, let's get Capybara to do it. Well, we did that. What are we going to do next? Hey, let's just sell millions of shares, one share at a time, all day long. This is what they're doing. They're discussing it just like we are. The only thing is that the law is going to get them. This cannot go on. It's too well known. We've had the truck out there 16 times. I sent it to Charlie Payne. How many more times can we do it? It's impossible. They paid whistleblowers, William, $37 million the other day. Who are they paying? What do you have to do to report a crime? I'm sure that whistleblower got paid $37 million. Made one.
They paid whistleblowers if you tell them about a crime they know nothing about. They're in this crime. They're complicit in this crime. So,
well,
I guess
anyway,
they're not going to pay off.
I'm just trying to say that it's unremarkable. We've done everything possible. They're going to get busted. They're not getting away with it. Lynn Partners is still dancing down the roads. KNW, I told you, they slaughtered that stock from 90 cents down to 20. They're raising money at 20 cents. 20 cents. So now you got Lynn Partners lent the money, and now you got Benchmark. Wow, isn't that funny? Benchmark and Lynn Partners. Now, for you guys that don't know about it, Benchmark is the one that introduced finger motion to Lynn Partners. All right? So Benchmark is like the pimp. He just pimping out Lynn Partners over here. He gets the call from somebody, some broker, whatever, and he just refers them to Lynn Partners. They work together. That's how this whole thing works. Benchmark is just as bad as Lynn Partners. So Lynn Partners did a deal with KNW, and on top of it, now they have at 20 cents, down from 90. Now Benchmark is doing the deal with them. People, what do? They loot the shit out of the company. How come if the company was so great, why didn't they raise money at 90 cents? Finger Motion is doing the right thing. They won't raise the money down here. They told you that. This company just took it on the chin and fucked everybody. He better be 100% right that he's got a cure for something, because he's going through the millions of dollars pretty quickly, and he owes everybody stock. And guess what happens? William can tell you, they drive your stock, they increase the float, the outstanding, and then they reverse it. GNS just did it, right? He just reversed his stock, and that's how they wipe you out. They wipe the slate clean, they wipe you out. Everyone goes on their merry way, and everyone thinks that they're wonderful. Meanwhile, they just robbed everyone. And William, there's a stock here I wanted to tell you. I don't know if I told you about it this morning. Charlie Eddie Indian, I reported on it 1,000 times. The company was trading 1 billion shares a day, up to $5. 1 billion shares a day. I spoke with the CEO. I told him they got a huge short position. He decided to do nothing, and they killed the stock down. Then he reversed it back up, and now it's down to pennies, and it got delisted today. All those shares that those guys sold, all those millions or billion dollars that they had to steal out of that thing, gone. They just took care of the whole thing. That's that. And I spoke with the CEO. MULN spoke with, he reversed it. GNS, he got it. CELU reversed. Don't you see the pattern, everyone? They all do the same thing. CVM just raised money from Think Equity the other day at $1 or $1.20, I forget the price. And within 4 days, Think Equity, after taking the placement, raising the money, came out with a research report telling everybody to go buy CVM. I don't know about you, William, If there's anything that's hairy, it's that little trade. I don't know. They just they just put everybody into stock at $1, let's say $1. I don't know what the number was, the warrants, whatever the hell they did. And 3 days later, they got a research report out telling everyone to go buy it. That sounds so sketchy. It's not even funny. Think equity is just a bunch of guys that came from Aegis Capital was another debt spiral place where they just shorted everything. All these guys, they did these deals. They'll do the same thing. They all have the same clients. What deal do you have? We're going to do it in dollars. We're going to get warrants. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's the same pattern. The SEC knows all about it. But I do believe we're going to catch him in finger. I do believe we have him in finger. And I think that it's coming to an end. We got 66 days. And a little while goes down to 65. That's the backstop on everything you're seeing here. They can keep playing the game. And like I said, who in their right mind is shorting DJT? We're just a nobody, bunch of small gypsies here. But you got the most powerful man in the world, a guy from the Intelligence Committee that was in D.C. And you're playing games with that stuff. That just tells you, William, that they are fearless. Or William, as you said to me before, you feel as though they're being told to do it. Is that what you told me? I forgot this.
I said they're being given permission.
Right now. It's so crazy that this is still continuing to go on. Just amazing. But you know what? All good things come to an end. It's coming to an end. We'll keep the pressure up. If we have to, we'll get the truck back out there again. Just look at just sit down, everyone. Click on the photo of the truck. It's almost in the lobby of the building. You don't think the people, the SEC, see the truck out there? There's cameras everywhere. Everywhere in D.C., am I correct, William?
I have no idea. I assume so.
Yeah, they've always said that. There's cameras everywhere. You can't go anywhere. So everyone knows what's going on. What would it feel like if your face was in front of the SEC's building right there for them to see? You're an unregistered toxic.
Mine was. I was there.
We're trying to get you paid. That's a little different.
Yeah, they're not
You
paying
did
me.
nothing wrong. You're trying to get paid. This is different.
They're not paying me.
The SEC's giving away millions of dollars. I don't know to who, but they're giving it away like it's free. Why can't they give it to you? You work just as hard as anyone else. Why not, William? Give us a break here. Give people a chance. It's just unbelievable. And that's what this is about. And I understand people. I have people saying they've been here a long time, they're sick, they're tired, they're losing money. I got it. But they'll get you no matter where you go. That's what I keep trying to tell people. They get you no matter where you go. They keep making shorting. They just keep doing it. This is something that if it doesn't end soon, it doesn't make a difference. We're all going to be wiped out, right? Unless you know how to trade. And I posted this morning with him, so I said I'm just trying to show people that I know how to trade. Apple opened up at 213, and I said, "Hey, isn't Warren Buffett a seller?" And I said that'd be the perfect time to short it. It went from 213 to 210. I don't need to make $3. All I need to make is 50 cents. If I just did 1,000 shares, $500 a day, 2,500 a week, 10,000 a month. All right, that's trading. That's how you make a living. I'm trying to show people there's many ways you can do this. You don't have to own a small cap stock, and I would never advise anybody to do it. If they don't change the rules, if Pat Burr doesn't come in here, if something doesn't happen soon, there's never invest ever again in the equity markets. You can trade it if you learn how to do it, but don't ever do it. Because it's just showing you it's completely fraud. Complete. Okay, we relayed through shareholders to the company to get a plan B. And the plan B would be what? Leaving the country. You can file a Form 25 in 10 business days. Your company's delisted from the U.S. and then get relisted in another country. Now, I don't know if the company would do that, but why wouldn't you do it? Why would you stay here and continue to take this beating, right? If you delist, William, the only shares that can go to the new country would be a guaranteed physical share. The new country would not accept counterfeit shares. And that was the basis of my stock exchange idea. You would delist in the US, relist in the new country, and only real shares would be able to go over. So if there is a short position in that 10-day period, the shorts will have to be covered. Because the new country does not want counterfeit shares, and they won't allow counterfeit shares into the system. So there's always a plan B. All right, I don't control the companies, but they need to. Everyone needs to be ahead of the curve here because this is completely out of control. That this is going on one more second. With the truck at the SEC door, you think they'd be knocking on what's his name's door already, which I think they have. I don't think these guys are skating away from this. I think they are getting I do believe they're going to get the hammer here. I don't know what day it is. Just like the Kramers, we said they were going to get caught. Richard Hoffman said today on his call, they're still waiting for the final thing on Alpine. That's another criminal thing. I think the judge is going to rule in the favor of GTII. That's not dead yet. They're going to rule in the favor of the shareholders and put a receiver in charge of GTII, which would give us the chance to put a company in there and basically get it back and get it rolling again. Remember, there's over 500 million shares short in that thing. Again, I know it sucks. We got it. But you know what? We're not dead. We're still fighting, and we're going to come back out. That's it. We got 66 days going to 65. Larry, you got anything to say about the truck and the SEC this morning?
Oh, the truck was beautiful. It was bold. It was the slides. I thought there was one that was hard to read, but the rest of them were just spot on. Great pictures.
But it's some of them you got to make a little bit longer because this, like South Korea, is putting people in jail for life. Security fraud.
No, they were all great. I thought.
Yeah, I'm saying you have to. We can't make it. It can't be one word. There was a guy who's suing on behalf of MMTLP. I tried to reach out to him. He was serving Gary Gensler today somewhere. I wanted to get him to give me a slide to put it up there and say, Gary Gensler, you've been served on the truck, and have the whatever the court document or if the number is, and just let him know he was served. But I guess they wanted to surprise them on their own, I guess. I don't know, whatever it was. But you know what? We're trying our best. We try to help the people out with MMTLP. We know many people that are invested in MMTLP. Again, we do whatever we can. Everybody's in the same boat, and we're trying to make it work. And there's different angles. The GameStop people keep fighting. The AMC people keep fighting. There's so many different battles. But what happens? The shorts when a GNS throws in the hat, reverses the stock. And for people that are in GNS, what's his name? Roger Rabbit, we call him? I forgot what we call him, right?
3 first names. I forget what they are.
Right. He said after he's announcing the reverse that he would like to come out and buy 10 million shares or $10 million.
After he destroys everybody else, somehow he's the savior at 10 cents a share.
He wants to come out and buy it after the reverse.
Yeah.
So that 44 that's getting reversed, he's going to buy it after it's cleaned up.
It stinks to high heaven.
And to me, that was a low,
self-serving, absorbed bastard.
That was awful when he said that. I looked at that and said, you got to be kidding me. He wants to buy it after he kills everyone else, and the float goes down from, let's say, 100 million to 10 million. Then he wants to step in and he'll be the savior. And like I said, they sell the shares. The companies raise the money. They go from 50 million shares. All of a sudden, it is 90 million, then 150 million. And the companies go, well, we can never make any money because we have too many shares. let's reverse the stock. You know, a gentleman said something today about GameStop. They have enough money to take the company private. Well, if I was the CEO and he's thinking about doing that, why doesn't Brian Cohen reverse GameStop? Right? Drive all the shares out of it, and then when he goes to buy it, he only has to buy, 30% less, right?
I suppose.
Right? That's what I would do. Hey, if I'm going to screw everybody, what's the difference? I might as well do it this way. Listen, I don't want to get in a fist match with anybody, but you can see the pattern is the same. Finger Motion has been fighting, staying strong. They had to deal with Univest. They did not take the money. Univest wants to bring them money, but they're not going to take it down. Here, the CEO told us on the video. The guy's doing the right thing. The short think he's going to dilute the company, but he's not doing it. And that's why they're getting aggressive here. They want someone to come out and sell stock, and no one's selling it. Now what do you want to do? The company's doing the right thing. The company's waiting for the SEC to give them approval. He told you they had to, Finger Motion had to send something back to the SEC. I assume they did it by now. So it can't be much longer. And if you're short, you're going to be short 10% more. 230 million, another 23 million. And it's going to be in a different stock. It's going to be FNGRW, a warrant. So they're going to be short the stock, and they're going to be short the warrant. All right, so the company knows this. The company knows what's going on. They don't like the stock price here. The investors in China don't like the stock here. And I'm sure the Chinese people are going to sit there and try to screw everybody here. The short sellers, they're not playing games. They're not going to get robbed. They're not stupid. Anyway, William, I know you have a long day. I don't want to keep you, but if you're okay, any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Let me look. Let me look. Does Univest still have a deal with Finger Motion?
Yes, they have a deal with them, right?
All right.
But what good is the deal? Because they want to raise $300 million. They're not going to do it here. So there is no deal as far as I'm concerned. They're here to do what? What can Univest do? Introduce them to new clients? Maybe. And their big thing was to raise money. Have they raised the money? No. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no deal. That's how I look at it. They were here to bring in money. That filing was for Univest. That was their thing. I think it's great that the company is doing the right thing and not taking shitty money, down here. Go ask the people at KNW how they feel about it. Their stock was 90 cents and now it's 20 cents. But the company took money. Nothing up there.
I'm looking. They can put the same stuff up they put a dozen times on the truck. Why not even mention it? Why put Vocal and CRT on it? Do you know the history with that piece of shit and GTI? That's
Yes,
confusing.
Richard Hoffman is addressing the GTI thing. And if you listen to Richard Hoffman, whoever just opened his mouth about that, Richard Hoffman, who do you think is funding the lawsuit? Not Richard Hoffman. It's the big shareholders that we know. They're the ones behind it. So for the jerk off that's saying that, go fight to call the SEC up, show them the document that the SEC gave us about the naked short, and go take a stick.
Hey, Frank, I'm free tomorrow.
Hang up on it.
Free tomorrow. $3,000. Wire $3,000. I'll go out there all day tomorrow. We'll just focus on GTII. I don't notice you putting any time or money into it.
Right. Tell them to send us the money, and you can yell at us.
Ham and William pounded 400 million naked short shares. They obviously didn't cover. I don't know. You know what? Just because you're saying it doesn't mean we did it that way. So whatever.
Listen, anybody who's got a complaint, use the proof in GTII. I posted it 60,000 times. The SEC's right there. Bring it in and ask them what the hell's going on. What do you want us to tell you? We don't have a gun. I don't have a gun.
Anyway, I don't want to answer any of those questions.
Listen, Richard Hoffman is doing a great job. And the people that bought a lot of stock, 30 million shares, are financing this whole thing against GTII.
I guess I completely abandoned everybody on local and CRT.
No, but the CEO did.
But
The CEO did. And then he came back and said, what? Naked shorts are a problem, right? Then you come back and say that.
the fact that you didn't put GTII on the truck is embarrassing.
It is on the truck. It is on the truck. Why don't you go look at the slide?
Yeah, why don't you look at the slides, Frank?
Why don't you look at the slide? It's right there. It says FNGR, GTII, and MFTLP. It's right there, Frankie boy. No one abandoned it. It's right there.
But Frank, while you're all worked up, why don't you donate to me $500 and I'll get it to the truck driver to help offset the cost, since you're so worked up. It said it right on the slide.
It's on the slide. I made sure it was on the slide. Listen, get Frank to give you $500. I'll put a truck out there with a slide with his name. Say, Frank, blank, blank, blank. Here's my number. Have the complaint. No, then you can have it. We'll get it out there for you. Wait, stop.
I didn't think GTI was trading in American brokers, only in Canada. I think it trades, but you're crazy to trade it right now. You could put an order in low to buy it, I suppose, hoping things work out. But trading it, you're going to be taken to the cleaners. You don't even know the bid and the ask.
Listen, I told you before, don't do anything till you know what the outcome is of the lawsuit. That's it. There's nothing else to say. 100% wait for that to happen. I pay 60 cents for it, then 5 cents for it, because I know it's going forward. If the judge rules against us, then we have a big problem. I don't think he is, but I think that's a big problem.
Frank, I just didn't think of tagging it. I put 3 stocks on my X post. I could have put 25. I just put 3. I'm so done with all this and done with you. It really is something.
Wait. Stop addressing him. He's just trying to get you riled up. That's it. If he has a problem, the SEC's right there. Get in your car, fly to DC, go sit down with them and register a complaint. We all do. We were whistleblowing for you right in front of the SEC today. You weren't there. Instead, you're calling us up, complaining to us.
Yeah. You don't have to talk to him anymore. It's just.
All right, that's just stop.
Is Andrew Left going to be going to jail? Cooper's Human wants to know.
I believe he is. I told you before, low-hanging fruit's going to jail. Ken Griffin's not going to jail. Low-hanging fruit. Andrew Left is low-hanging fruit. The Anson Fund is low-hanging fruit. Jeff Easton is low-hanging fruit. Savvy Management, those are low-hanging fruit. The Kramers are low-hanging fruit. After all this crime of naked short selling, they're going to have to put somebody away. It's going to be those type of characters.
That's a good point.
Pat Byrne told you. Pat Byrne said it in a call one time. If you think, he said that Ken Griffin is the Fed. So what they're going to do, Trump's going to come in, and what are they going to do? They're going to spank Ken Griffin, and Ken Griffin's going to sit there and say, okay, we'll be good boys. We won't do it anymore. I believe BIRT is going to be pennies because they do the same thing, and they're not going to get the same path as Ken Griffin. And I believe that the naked shorts are going to get busted. That's it. They walk away with the billions of dollars they've stolen. We take the losses on whenever we lost it. And just look at the carnage. I just went through a bunch of names. MULN, reverse, CELU. The guy does infectious disease. I met the guy. And he got taken over, bent over, and robbed. KNW, this new one. They lent money, lent partners gave them money, they destroyed the stock already. In 3 months, it went from 90 cents And it's diluted twice already. And there's more coming because now there's warrants, there's convert, it's a complete mess.
How come you didn't tell us to sell Warner Brothers and CNN? They just wrote down CNN 9.1 billion. They wrote it off. How come you didn't warn us? How come you didn't warn us, Sam?
I wish I was playing the real market and not doing this nonsense anymore, but I don't really watch the real market anymore, so I couldn't tell you. In 2 seconds, I could figure out that Apple computer is a sale. Warren Buffett's selling it. You know that he's going to come back and sell the rest of his stock. So I look at it on any rallies, that's probably a short. But most people won't short Apple because we all seem to love it. But again, it's run its course maybe. I don't know. Warren Buffett's selling it. He's not selling it because he's looking to raise capital. He's looking to sell it because something has changed fundamentally. Is there a threshold price for Finger that if it goes beyond that price? Yes, it's got to be around $3.90 to $4 now. There's not enough volume to get it to go lower. I keep posting it, but the volume isn't big enough. DJT is dropping like a stone. Remember, that was $54. I put it up there. That was $54. I believe it was down to $50. Listen, I'm like you. I'm sick of doing it. If you like, me and William can stop.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep doing. We can just stop, but we can't abandon people. We don't do that. GTII, we can't say anything else because there's nothing to say until this court case is over. MMTLP, there's nothing to say until something happens. We don't know. There's people suing. We can't speak about that anymore. There's nothing to say there. So the only ones that I'm following is Finger and DJT. DJT, I don't own a share of it, but I know Donald Trump and Pat Byrne are going to kill him. So why can't I talk about it? You were telling people to look out for No Labs. I think it was $1 something when you told them. 90 cents. 90 cents. You said it for weeks, if not months, and here it is now, 25 cents. And they just raised money at 20. So this stock is basically... It's going to be seller boxed. Right. They got it already. I mean, I just was point blank. As soon as they did the deal, I told you. Look at the devils in the details. I said the CEO signed the deal. And not only did the CEO sign the deal, he did it again with their partner, Benchmark, yesterday. Yeah. Last night. So it continues. You can't say any more than that. And I'm not trading anything. I'm not doing anything. I keep trying to tell you that. My family, we're all involved in 3D. Hey, Jim Bob, you said tomorrow's your last day. I got you out of there early, so thanks for stopping by. You're gone. You can start your vacation today. But please stop getting yourself upset. We are doing everything we can to educate people about the chart. Mark points out that KNW's all-time high was $157. I didn't see that. Let me see if I can find that. Well, that just shows you. And they actually are doing something about diabetes, I believe. So they're doing a great job. Well, the shorts never get diabetes, and their mothers don't, their grandparents don't. Right, they don't care. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any more questions. It's 324, Fingers around $2. Let me look. No, it's $1.94. 190 to 194, 4 to 400. Listen, all you have to remember is this, everybody. care if there's one person or 1,000 people or 10,000 people. If they thought they can win, they let the stock go higher. Why not short it at a higher number? They can't let it go up. I told you there's margin pressure all over, whether they're getting turned off by the people that are financing these trades. There has to be a bank or a prime broker behind them. The market sell-off puts pressure on the banks to raise capital. And they look around and say, okay, we lend money to Warren Buffett, we lend money to Goldman, and we lend money to Lynn. Fuck Lynn. Take it away from them. That's how they look at these things. So that could be part of the pressure. These trades going back and forth, they're just laundering it back and forth or washing it back and forth to create the illusion. You can go Google it, watch trade. What does it mean? It's basically creating a make-believe stock trade is what it's doing. They could be doing it to get more settlement time. They could be doing it to get you ahead, to make it look like it's going down, like they did in GTI. They printed it at 0001. One share, 100 shares, they printed it at 0001. Everyone called up to see what they're doing. I would do the same thing if I was short. I printed it 0 what? Sell 100 shares there. That's what they're doing. These guys control it. We don't control any of this stuff. Just keep understanding that. We don't control any of this stuff. Anyway, William, listen, thank you very much for attending.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job. Great job again, giving us your time.
No, I don't need
and
time.
for us being the criminals that we are, standing, going to the SEC and presenting them with the proof.
Wow. There's something happening here. Let me see. It's not exactly clear. TELO. TELO's up 34 cents to, well, problem is it's off of lows. It's off of lows. But anyway, it's better than nothing. So
You can see JYL jump from $2.5 to $4.
I think it's on the over the counter.
I was saying, but it jumped from $2.5. It went to $4. It went to $4. I think. Almost $4. I can't remember. Where is it at?
It went to 438.
Okay, yeah, it jumped over 4, right? Look how fast it just jumped up.
Yeah.
Listen, they make it look. If I was short, the only thing I would do is drive it down fast, then you come back and try to scoop up the longs that want to give up.
Right.
That's the game. That's the game.
Right.
That's what they do. They need to buy back their shares. They know the end is coming. That's just the way it goes. And I would do the same thing. I would make it look ugly, make you pissed off, get the longs to yell at each other. I would go on Williams' phone call and yell, you left me hanging, William, blah, 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 blah. And guess what they're doing? Exactly that. Again, if you're upset, we're all upset. But again, if you don't stop this, they're going to do it forever. And they're doing it in different stocks. Everyone thinks it's just Finger and GTII. You're completely wrong. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. All right, William, listen, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, have a great night.
All right, everybody, I'm going to sign out. Thank you for tuning in. Peace to everyone. And, we'll be back at it tomorrow. Stay cool.